Hey, everybody. Look at that. It's 10 o'clock and it's on Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Welcome to the Local Marketing Institute Q&A Live. We're doing this without any screens today, by the way. And as you can tell, now my fabulous co-host is Amy Toman. Well, everybody clap. Welcome, Amy. Hey, Amy. How's it going?
Good, very good, Ben. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Long time no chat, right?
Yes, exactly.
So Greg is out. He is out writing SEO, I believe, right now. So Amy is graciously coming back in and stepping in for him. And we've got a fun, if kind of light, actually, schedule today. Excuse me. And so we're just gonna kind of get straight into it with no sound effects, by the way. Sorry, everybody. Okay, so the first thing is, well, actually a little bit of housekeeping here very quickly. And that is that, look, if you have any questions, and thank you, Nate. If you have any questions, please feel free to enter them in the Q&A feature of Zoom, not the chat. We need them in there. And speaking of, we only have around 3 or 4 questions today. Excuse me, be right back. We only have about 3 or 4 questions today. So if you could please put in questions, we will answer. If you have something that you want us to debug live, happy to do that. If you have a GPP that you'd like Amy or I to audit for you live, we'll do that too. So let's have some fun.
Absolutely love when people do live audits. It's absolutely amazing because you would not believe the things that get picked up, especially when you have different SEOs who maybe specialize in, say, different niches. Like I do a lot of. It's funny because during some periods I do a lot of bricks and mortar, but I also started out doing a lot of SABs. So it's interesting to see live audits and get those different, get those different points in there.
Oh, sure. SAP audits are a little bit difficult, though. They can be. Because you have no address.
You have no address, but that's the question of what can you do to make them stand out in the local areas? And then to me, unfortunately, it goes away from the Google listing and it goes a little bit onto the website. I was speaking with somebody about 45 minutes ago, and that's what I was pointing out to them. I was explaining to them the value of local pages and then how the content on your website, as well as several other places, can get quoted in justifications in search results and in Google listings. So the more places you put that out, that's going to help your SAB.
Right on. Excellent. Well, cool. Hopefully somebody submits an SAB and we can audit it. How's that?
There you go.
All right. Just saying, everybody, if you want to see Amy audit a service area-based business, please give us one. Hey, quick shout out to Doc. Doc's in the audience. How's it going, Doc? And speaking of conferences, so next week, heading out to PubCon. So,
Wow.
yeah. Brett's doing a great job with that. So I think last time we had close to 400 people.
Nice.
Something.
Where is it going to be?
It's going to be in Austin. Yeah, at the AT&T Center. So it should be fun. We're going to be, of course, hearing from Bing and Google and, all those guys. So, of course, AI is going to be all the talk. That's just a thing. So, all right. So here we go.
I've got to throw out, if you don't mind, I want to throw out that I'm going to next week, and some other brilliant women are going to be going to the Women in Tech SEO gathering, the first one ever in the U.S. and
awesome.
in Philadelphia next Thursday. And I have never seen this before. And I know, Ben, you know all about these conferences. You've been doing them for years.
Sure.
These women were absolutely amazing. There was in the Slack channel that was who's coming in early. They had set up several offers of, I think, walking tours and bus tours. Who is going to be around for dinner? Does anybody want to share a room? It was just an amazing, an amazing little community that started even before people met at the conference. So it's going to be interesting to see that next week. Arish has done a great job with that.
That's
So
really awesome.
hopefully they will. I think they're already planning on the one for next year. And I don't think it's going to be in Philadelphia. I think it's going to be someplace else because America's big.
Right, exactly. And speaking of big, oh my God. So, Amy, we're going to London.
And Ben, you're going to be able to come with us.
Yes.
Ben had a little hiccup with his paperwork, but now it's all settled and we're going to meet in London.
Yes. We're going to be in London in approximately 30 days, about a month.
Wow.
Roughly.
Wow.
And in case y'all don't know why we're going to London, is we're going to be going to the first ever International Product Expert Summit. Normally we do these at the headquarters over here in the States. We've been to Colorado. God, we've been all over the place. San Francisco, of course. And yeah, dude, that's right, Nate. I got to get a photo of Big Ben next to Big Ben. I'm just saying. And we're not saying which one's Big Ben. I'm just saying. No, but seriously. So I need to get a picture like where the Big Ben's like this big,
There you go. You can stand there. You can do that, right?
Exactly. Put my hand on it. I don't know. So, but yeah, I had a horrible passport snafu where mine was expired for more than 5 years. And I went to basically get a new one, and they lost my old passport, which usually will block you from getting the new passport. So it took quite a few phone calls, let's just say.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever told you this. I actually kind of during college and after college, I actually lived in London for a while.
Oh, nice.
And I was a nanny at one point, if you can believe that. I look at myself now, I'm like, no. But yeah, so it's going to be interesting going back because I was there a bunch of times, like I said, during and right after college. So it's going to be as though I've never been there, but it's still kind of cool.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm my first time overseas, first time in London, of course. And so, and it'll be interesting to see what the London headquarters looks like. This is your first Product Expert Summit, right?
It is. Last year they had changed the kind of the guidelines on who attended because it was still little. It was in New York City, still little post-COVID, and despite the fact that I live not far from the city, I actually went up the day after most people had headed out, and I ended up meeting a few people.
That's right. I remember you did that. That's right.
I met about 4 people, including the iconic. There's a product expert from Germany. Mm-hmm. And he was very interesting to speak to because
are you talking about Hellman?
People opens his mouth and he's like a wealth of history.
Yeah. Well, and you'll be able to get one of these. They're the Google bots, basically the androids. So except they'd say Product Expert Summit or Product Expert on it.
Very cool. Very cool. I'm really looking forward to it.
They used to look like this.
Oh.
So anyway, all right, that's enough of us talking about going to Google. Sorry, everybody. No, I'm not. All right. So, all right, on to the news really quickly then. We only have 2 items for news today, by the way. So everybody get your Q&A on. Or if you want us to audit something, we'll audit it. I'm not going to say it again. Yeah, I probably will say it again. Okay. So this is just something interesting. Looks like Google is playing around with adding third-party reviews into the review stream. Which, I mean, I don't know about you, but I see that as a potential for abuse, of course. Find out which sites Google is going to crawl and then inject your reviews into there, right? So that's one thing that brings up that question. Second question I get is, what happens if somebody edits that review? Does it get edited into GBP as well? Does the data sync like that? I don't know. What are your thoughts on this feature?
One of the things I've noticed, and I thought about this the first time I saw it, is when you kind of don't control the content, there are always issues that they may not go within your guidelines. I've noticed, and I don't know if anybody's seen this, but the last time I went into Bing and I searched on a business name, they showed me not obviously that they had the equivalent of a knowledge panel. They didn't have Google reviews, but they mentioned how many reviews there were on Facebook. But again, I was thinking, you're showing those, you're presenting those, saying, I mean, there's kind of a tacit approval of those. But what if once one goes in, says, okay, those pass Facebook's rules, but they don't pass Bing's? It's the same thing. If Google is presenting these, you know what I mean? There's this kind of tacit approval when they may not actually pass Google's rules. So
Yeah.
it's a test, and we'll see where it goes.
Exactly. And that's the whole thing. It is a test, right? So, and as we know, most of the tests that Google does don't pass through. We saw that with like the generative AI descriptions in GBP. That was a really brief test.
The other day, I did a search in Chrome, and the local pack had 4 businesses. It lasted. I literally.
Sure, it wasn't an ad?
It was not an ad, and that's what the weird part. I was just about to do a screenshot, and for whatever but that's what really got me. It was not sponsored. I literally said to somebody at work with, I was like, "Where did this come from?" I went back, and I must have refreshed, and it was gone. But it was very strange.
Exactly. Well, not to mention, I mean, and this is just for everybody's knowledge, Amy and I are basically in what's called a trusted tester group. So as being a product expert, it's one of the things that we get. And so we also get to see the really, really strange stuff. So, Mark, that's a really good point. The lawsuit between the DOJ and Google actually started this week, if I remember correctly. And then you've got everything that's happening over in the EEA, the European Union, right? Those two things are kind of coming to a head this month. Their deadline on the European Union is as far as being transparent about things is this month, the end of this month, actually. And then, of course, the DOJ thing, that's a whole thing about being a monopoly. So you could be 100% correct on that. You know what I mean? So it's very possible. So it'll be very interesting to see how things play out as far as that goes. Which brings us, now that we're speaking about transparency. Yes. So we are going to be talking about something which is new today or this week and should have everybody quaking in their boots. Okay.
Oh.
Yes. So everybody, if you follow me on Twitter, you've probably seen this already. If you follow Search Engine Land, you've probably seen this already from Barry. If you are huddling around coffee and crying and commiserating with your fellow people that you work with, then you've definitely heard about this already. No, it's not that bad. Actually, yes, it is. So the too long don't read on this is that the suspension, what they're now going to most likely call the appeal process, is going to be changing forever.
Very restrictive. Restrictive.
So now I want to keep in mind what we're about to talk to you about is something that is an evolving process. Whatever you see, whatever we talk about today could change in a week. It could change in a month. It could change next year. So the thing to understand here is this is in reaction to the EEA and the transparency laws, I guess, that have been coming out of this. And so it's a knee-jerk reaction because Google was given a deadline. So given that Google was given a deadline, they have to meet. And we also understand how Google works as far as how they program things and program new features and roll things out. They have to do things on a worldwide basis. They cannot localize it. Okay. God knows why. I mean, I think I could think of 5 people that I know that could write PHP that could probably do this. Just saying. No, I'm kidding. But so they're in a hurry. They've got to make it so it's something that can be rolled out worldwide, and it has to be scalable, right? And then they have to test it and that's what's been happening in the European Union right now is it's all been testing. And so they're looking at the feedback, seeing how it goes, washing the community, seeing if people complain or people getting stuck. And I really have a problem with this test, actually, because if the test functions the way that they state it is going to function, the data that they're going to get is going to look positive to Google, but it is not going to be positive for merchants, and they won't know. That's the problem. There's not a huge feedback loop at this point. Okay, so what are we talking about? We're basically talking about currently, you would get a notice, an email, or you'd see it in your dashboard, or you see it online when you search for your business that you've been suspended. And then you would go and you would click the get reinstated, learn more. Then you go to the reinstatement form. You'd fill out the form, upload your proof, hit go, boom. 5 minutes later, you have a case ID and this really crappy email from Google. But you still at least have a case ID. You know something's happening. Now, at least in the EU, the process is you will get an email saying that you've been suspended with a little blue button. That blue button will take you to an appeal form. Now, you've probably already seen this appeal form. The appeal form is the same appeal form that is used for images, videos, and reviews. Okay, but this is now for suspensions. So it's going to be all in one, kind of like what they do with help. So when you go in there, you're going to pick the account that you want to look in. It'll bring up all of your profiles. By the way, there's no search function, so Control F will be your friend. There's also no status. So there's not a status next to each one saying if it's suspended or not. I'm sure they're going to fix that, but at least that's what it looks like today. And when you select it, then I believe it's supposed to give you actually the status of it, which is, basically suspended with a reason why. And when I say reason why, by the way, I'm not like meaning that Google is going to say, Nate, your suspended business profile is suspended because this user has illegal activity or suspicious activity. They went ahead and they edited a bunch of fields really quickly. You should stop doing that. They're not going to do that. Okay. It's going to be the exact same guidelines we've all seen. All it's going to do is point you to the section you are violating. Just the section. Okay, great. If you understand the guidelines, fantastic. If you're pointing to the name section, there's a guideline violation. Okay, I guess I'll go fix the name. If it's something that's, spammy activity, well, then you're still SOL. So basically nothing's really changed. So at that point, then let's get to the horrible parts. So the horrible parts of this is that, let's say you've picked it, you selected it, you hit next, you get this really tiny text that basically says you have 60 minutes. After you go proceed, you'll have 60 minutes to upload your proof, basically your business proof. There's no button. The only button is proceed.
There's no timer on the screen, they're saying. None at all. So you don't know where you are. Once that starts, you don't know where you are at all.
Yes, exactly.
60-minute countdown.
60-minute countdown.
Yep,
now,
60.
I want to make sure people understand this, okay? Because on social, people have kind of misconstrued what this 60 minutes means. It's 60 minutes after you hit continue.
To submit the paperwork, right?
Correct.
It's not to do the whole reinstatement. It's just 60 minutes to submit your paperwork.
Correct.
I call it supporting documentation only.
Yes. So it's not, I've started this process and I only have 60 minutes to complete it. It's 60 minutes just for that one piece, uploading the proof. And yeah, it is a little bit better, but still, I need to take a look at this not only from the agency side, but we also need to look at it from the merchant side. Let's be real, okay? When somebody gets suspended, do they read things? No. The animal part of our brain is in fight or flight mode. Basically, at this point, you're thinking about your kids, you're thinking about your home, your mortgage, you're thinking about how many people you're going to need to lay off in the next week because you don't have any money saved.
And I'd like to point out what you all of a sudden realize as this is all going through your head is how much you are dependent on that free Google listing. And,
Exactly.
now, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that. At this moment, those are not going to help you.
Right.
But that's when you realize the magnitude of the amount of business that you are going to be losing because of this.
Exactly. Phones have stopped. Oh my God. And so basically that's my biggest concern is that people are going to see this. They're not going to read it. They're going to hit continue, continue, continue. Give me the form. You'll get to the form. You'll upload whatever you have on hand, because this is what happens now. So people are going to upload silly stuff, a napkin with your name on it. That's my signage. By the way, I've seen that. It's scary, but I've seen that. Or they're going to Sharpie it onto the wall. I've seen that too.
Or because my wrapped truck is parked in front of that location, that of course should pass verification. You're like,
yeah,
it doesn't. No, that doesn't. I need paperwork. I need, you need to have these things. I was talking with Ben before, and I went on a live with a group I'm in last night. This is when you just kind of want to kick yourself and say, I should have had these ready. I didn't know that I'd ever need them, but I should have had them ready.
Exactly. So, and we see it all too often, even in the community, not just when doing reinstatements for clients, but we see it in the community a lot. We ask for proof and they send us a business card. Yeah. Thank you. That's amazing. That's awesome. Google's really going to, that can't be faked.
A flyer.
Yeah.
Or my favorite is when you get, want to ask for, say, tax documentation or something that would have to do with a tax authority, like in the US, it would be the IRS.
Yep.
Google is not going to accept that something that is handwritten and that goes to the IRS or to the California, taxation.
Or the receipt that they got it.
Right. Or I have applied for this. No, right. It has to be, I always say, from authoritative bodies. Okay. If you want to send something that has to do with the IRS, it needs to come from the IRS and from your state or your province, wherever you live. Because in Australia, they have a national body that's the equivalent of like a business registry. So you send me something from the ABN, we're cool. You send something that you sent to them. No.
Exactly.
People, you just have to remember it's hard when you're in that position and you're scared and you're nervous. It's not the time to figure out what Google will or won't take. So that's why you need to look it up ahead of time, because in that situation where you have 60 minutes with no idea where you are in that 60 minutes, you're going to be stressed. It's going to be tough.
Exactly. I can't wait to see the timeout messages. Hopefully they just have a timeout message saying, sorry, you're screwed. Or your business is not being found.
Well, they do say that they're, if you want to apply for reinstatement, that they will look at your request.
Yeah.
Hopefully I think it's a different team from the ones who first suspended you. So it's not, if you miss the 60 minutes, it's not the end. It's just, as most of us say, it's much better if you submit with paperwork. I mean, I would never, I even was suspended a few years ago. You never reapply without submitting your paperwork. But if you do, there's still a chance you're going to come back.
But
the chances are just not as high. Ben can tell you more than anyone.
Let's talk about, though, the issue of a situation where somebody uploads the wrong information. Okay.
I had somebody do something like that recently. They did a video they were asked to apply a video. They did a video, but it wasn't at the address that was currently on the listing.
And that happens too. So the next thing, let's just go through this, right? So step through this. So you upload whatever you upload. Then you get to the form itself. It looks exactly like the form we have today. All right. So you fill all that stuff in. Boom. Go. All right. Cool. Awesome. Now what? Nothing. Nothing. There's not going to be an email. There's not going to be a case ID. You will get an email if you get reinstated. Isn't that nice? You usually get the email after it's been reinstated for like a long time, by the way. It's like usually they've been up for like 24 hours and you get this email. Oh, congrats, you're alive. Thanks, Google. But the fact is that, so yeah, you'll know when you're reinstated. You won't know if you're denied. There is no email that they're going to send you from no reply saying that you've been denied. Also, you don't know it, but you can go to that tool and you can check your status. And I believe it will tell you your status there. Currently, in the EU, you can reappeal once, and you can even pay an arbiter to help appeal for you. This is not true in the United States today. Currently, the plan.
Big issue here, everybody. Just listen to this. It's amazing.
Currently, the plan is to basically be kind of like a one and done. And that means you've submitted, they've decided, there is no appeal. Don't cross go, don't collect your $200. You're done. Now, I do need to say that take this with kind of a grain of salt. What I mean by that is this is just what we know so far. Okay. However, things will and can and will change. This is not rolled out to the United States. Initially, I thought it might be a couple of weeks. It might be a couple of months. Who knows? We don't really know, right? They're testing it. Again, I think they're going to get a lot of false positive data. I think they're going to think it's working, but it's working because nobody's complaining because they don't know how to complain. Especially if there's no email on denial. There's no link to the help center or community or anything. The good news is that people like Amy and I and Greg and the rest of the product experts will be able to help. We will have the capability to escalate these issues to Google. So there at least is that light at the end of the tunnel. And kind of alluding to what Amy was saying, and that is this: the biggest call to action you can have today, be prepared. Just get prepared. If you need to pay somebody, have them review your business, review your documentation. People like Amy and I do this. Have somebody review your docs. Get a professional opinion. Because Paul, like you said in the chat, there is no list of these perfect documents. You want to know why there's no list? 2 reasons. We don't want to educate spammers. That's reason number 1, probably the most important. Reason number 2, unfortunately, I can point out articles online where I can be like, oh man, damn it, I said that 7 years ago. Shit, why did I say that? But the thing is that there is no article about it because an article can't be written about it. Things change. Dynamics change. Also,
Every
what works one
is
time.
Different too. I must point that out. Each business will have, say, maybe you have a DBA, maybe you don't. So all of these things need to be accounted for. And just Ben, just to interrupt, and sorry for 1 second.
Sure, no.
One thing I point out about paperwork is that it's the 3 C's. Whatever paperwork you submit, it needs to be correct, current, and consistent. They need to be consistent among each other. If you present 3 pieces of paperwork, you just have to remember, you can't say to somebody, well, you have to understand.
No. I was looking at one of those this morning, actually, before starting up the webinar. I have a client that they're like, why did you remove this from my name? I was like, well, let me tell you the ways. Your signage doesn't have those words in it, number 1. Your DBA does. That's fine, but it doesn't matter because it doesn't apply because you're a storefront. And on top of that, your corporation name is different, of course, than that, which is fine, However, your business license has your corporation name and not your DBA name. So therefore, basically, Google will deny this reinstatement, 100% guaranteed. Problem is that it's not consistent. You can get one support operator who will look at your paperwork and approve it. Another one won't understand it.
Yeah.
I got a silly reinstatement email this morning. It's probably the silliest one I've ever seen. They say, we're sorry, but the business profile that you have sent us has been deleted from your dashboard. Thanks for the canned response, Google. Go to my dashboard. There it is. Grab the URL, email it to them, and I say, I think you should look again. They don't usually like that, by the way. But anyway,
I will say, I have been blessed by whichever people at Google dealt. I had a big issue recently, went on for months. And they made 2 efforts, and Google actually did the right thing twice. Oh. And I was, these other people are like, well, that's just what they do. And I thought, oh, no, it's not. You don't know. It's very inconsistent. Even if you present the right information, you have to kind of, I don't know, send vibes their way that the person you get is experienced and understands.
Yep, exactly. And just some more commentary that we have here really quick. So let's see. Nate's saying, so your UPS Dropbox can't be verified. No, probably not, Nate. I mean, it could be verified, but how are you going to prove that you have clients that are this big?
There you go. There you go.
So, I mean, I know you probably have a shrink rate, so we understand that.
Can I just point something out recently? I've been thinking about this.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me why do we have, why do I have to do video verification? I explained that sometimes it's stopping spammers, but that's the actual thing. Now, when people are told if they're using the address of their UPS or their US Postal Service or their mailboxes, etc., and they get suspended, all of a sudden they're like, well, I have to do video verification. I say, yes. And they said, is your address, your home or an office? They're like, well, no. That's the point. That's what Google is doing. So when you say, I can't verify my post office box, that's what Google is trying to do. Is it's to almost not allow you to do it, because you're immediately going to say, okay, this is the outside of my address, and there's this post office station.
Yep, exactly. Or it's at a home, and you stop at the front door because you don't have access to the home anymore. Right. So and I mean, I see it all the time. All the freaking time, where somebody will be like trying to be all coy, and it's like, well, they have a little sign sticking up in the yard, and they go by it really quickly, thinking that they're not going to notice that. Nope. And they go to the door and they go to reach out to the handle and they stop the video. And then you ask them, you're like, well, how come you didn't go inside and show the office? Oh, well, it's my son's girlfriend's house.
We had one.
They're not together anymore.
When you didn't have to do videos, but that they helped, we asked somebody to do something and to do a video of them outside. Did the same thing as current video verification. So, and I didn't know this. They come out of the elevator bank, having not seen a sign in the lobby, which you would expect. They come out of the elevator bank, they turn, and they go into their office. And I went to this person on my team, and I said, look at this timestamp. Do you see what I'm seeing? And that was when we realized they were sharing an office. So we made a big deal of saying, you need to show your signage. So I came out of the elevator, and you saw big firm name, little teeny their firm name. But again, video verification. So when we talk about things like I can't, half jokingly, I can't do my post office box. That's why Google changed it now, and the default is now video verification. It just makes it so much easier to kind of say to people, if you want your listing, it has to be within guidelines, and you have to be able to prove it to us.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, and you'll be seeing this year, by the way, when you're at the summit, Amy. And that is that I was in the room at the PE Summit when they started talking about rolling out video verification 100%. Really? It was a year and a half before it actually happened. But we were at the PE Summit, and they brought it up. They were like, well, what do you all think about video verification? Me and Joy and Mike and everybody were like, yeah, we need to do this. We have to do this, actually. Because like postcards are efficient, they're gameable, so is
Gameable.
everything else. And so yes, I was pleasantly surprised when we saw that they were starting to roll it out and people were starting to get it. And I'm like, oh yeah, here it comes. Woohoo, yes. Um, and somebody made a mention in the chat that video verification, I guess, or that this reinstatement process is going to be hard on agencies. Just like video verification is hard on agencies. But you know what? I still, to this very day, get people who want us to help with the verification process. And we just give them the QR code and we say, now go do a video. We've created your profile. Now go do the rest.
Mhm.
Nobody argues with that. They're fine
Yeah.
with it. And with this reinstatement process that's coming, agencies are going to be able to help too, because as long as you're a manager or an owner of that profile, you can start this reinstatement process. So you can control that with your clients. Now, good luck, because your client, as soon as it gets suspended, they're going to submit it 9 out of 10 times. And then they'll tell you, oh, no, I already submitted it. But if you have control of your clients, or you can get control of your clients, let them know proactively that if they are suspended, you will take care of it.
I don't know
Yes,
where he is on your screen, but I hope everybody just saw that and heard that, because that is what I have been saying for a while. Just remember, if you have a large number of clients, you need to make it very clear in the next few, I don't know, weeks or months till we start seeing this. Clients are, if they receive that email before you mention it to them, they are not to touch anything.
exactly.
Because if that clock starts, and remember, if things stay the way they are, it's going to be really bad. So they need to wait. They need to contact whoever is their agency or whoever represents them, or their SEO, who hopefully knows enough how to deal with this. Because I mean, I've also said too that I think the agency should have the paperwork and the phone and the photos.
I can tell you this, Amy. So, I mean, as you know, that we have a service very specifically geared towards this. We've been doing this for over 2 years, actually, where we have a service where we, protect profiles and we back them up and we gather all the paperwork in advance, and then we will reinstate a profile for free, if it gets suspended. So that's cool. Our clients are safe. We have agencies that contract us with this work too, by the way, because, and I'm sorry, everybody, but this is true. Most agencies don't know how to do a reinstatement. And it's okay, because I'm sorry, you got to be a guidelines verification ninja to do a reinstatement. You really need to understand the guidelines and how Google works. So it's not a bad thing if you don't understand the reinstatement process. And it's okay to not know the reinstatement process. You're great at what you do, But the fact of the matter is with this coming down the pipe, again, the way it is today, it's serious enough where you need to have and sit down with your clients. It's a serious enough thing, because let's be real. What happens when a GBP goes down for one of your clients and you can't get it back? What's going to happen? You're probably not going to get sued. Okay. I mean, because I've seen people maliciously destroy GBPs and not get sued. But that client will definitely leave you and they will blame you. That is for sure. So, yeah, get your eggs in the right basket. I guess that's the thing to do at the end of the day. Contact Amy. Contact me. We'll help you get it all sorted out. I know. It is all.
Here's the problem. We're hearing this. We've been hearing the chat a lot about different aspects of this. And right now, I don't know how Ben considers it, but I consider it community service. Yep. To be reminding people, look, this is serious stuff. This is something that will seriously affect your business. Of course, nobody wants to be suspended, but you always have to have that in the back of your mind. What would I do if?
Exactly.
First of all, let's just be honest and say you shouldn't have all of your eggs in one basket in terms of marketing. But Google's the elephant in the room. You cannot avoid it. You have to have it. I have a local pizza shop near me. I'm so excited. They've been there like forever, and they finally claimed their Google listing. And now they're all excited because now they can respond to their, 200 and something reviews. But, they've been doing okay without having done that. But imagine how much better they would have done had they had it. And, you just have to be really careful with these things because they are the main driver of leads and income these days.
Exactly.
So for us to sit, I understand what you're saying about there's a lot of negativity around this. But Ben and I have been hearing this chat for a while. As Ben said, he's been hearing about it months longer than probably any of us have in the group. We're just trying to protect everybody, just trying to let everybody know what you should be aware of. So I agree that it's kind of negative and I'm sorry about that, but oh boy, just be ready, kids. Just make sure that you and your clients are ready for this if and when it happens. Hopefully it doesn't, but if it does, you are going to sound knowledgeable. You are going to come off as an expert, even if the only thing you're doing is outsourcing the business.
Exactly.
Contacting Ben at Steady Demand, contacting me. Either way, you're going to sound a lot better than, oh my God, what just happened? I'm so sorry. We'll get you back in 6 to 8 weeks.
Or I'm sorry, we have to create a new profile. Which, by the way, when you're suspended, there's a lot of complications there too. So anyway, and we know that you all appreciate it, of course, and thank you everybody for saying that you appreciate it in the chat. The reason, again, that like Amy was saying, is that we're being doom and gloom on this because you know what, you need it. You need to know. And us just telling you, giving you roses and whatever, and saying, hey, no, don't worry about it. It's going to be okay. No. It might not be okay.
It might not. No.
So better be prepared. Absolutely. And if it gets better and if it's not as bad as what we're talking about today, fantastic. That's what I hope for. I really, I hope it kind of stays the same.
Google does make changes, right? They make changes based on, I'm sure, many more factors that I'm aware of. Ben probably knows.
Lots of factors.
But what we have to do is you just have to say, okay, I understand what's coming. I understand kind of the value of my listing, and I'm going to do what I need to do to be ready for this. If Google changes it, if the 3 things that we're talking about or the 2 things are going to be made better, if they react to reactions, all the better that none of us will have to deal with it. But you know what? It's much better to be aware of it ahead and be prepared and then not have to worry about it if it does happen. Because there's a lot of money coming into a lot of businesses and you don't want to be the cause of them not getting that because you don't know how to deal with it.
Okay, we're going to stop beating the horse. Okay, we're done. We're done beating the horse. Let it go. Let it trot. If you have questions about it, of course, absolutely feel free to hit us up. Bubbles Up on Twitter. The Social Dude on Twitter.
Wait, I have a new one. I have a new one for some other reasons.
Oh, no.
I also have local at amytheseo.com. I know it's kind of silly, but it's local at amytheseo.com. There's no website I will point you to, but it's local at amytheseo.com.
It's obviously Amy at the SEO. Amy.
Yes, I'm Amy the SEO. Yes. .com. I like the last comment that came in. Do not forget to be polite to Google support.
Yeah.
I wrote an article a few weeks ago for Bright Local, and I talked about kind of what is the forum and how to post on the forum. And let me tell you something. You cannot underestimate the value of being nice, especially on that forum, because a lot of us are sitting there. It's early morning. It's late at night. We're just like, oh, I promised I would answer 10 things. And you go in there and this person is just berating you and telling you, I've already done this, or I posted this.
Didn't you read what I said?
Yeah, I linked to that already. And let me tell you, I saw something recently and this person said, and I knew who this person was because I had helped them previously, and their whole thread was deleted because of how abusive they got to me.
Oh, yeah.
And I just want you to know, if you go on the forum and you want to make friends with the product expert who is helping you, two things to remember. Provide them with as much, if not more, of the paperwork that they request. And at the bottom of every little thing that they post, there's a little button, post recommend. You do that, you are making a friend for life, because I know I have actually taught people how to do things on there through like 6 or 8 posts, because they were polite and they said, okay, that's interesting, and asked me another question. So
Yeah.
just want to put that out there. Being polite really will get you far with when dealing with Google, going back and forth, and also going on the forum, especially if you don't know what you're doing.
Oh, yes,
Don't insist
exactly.
you know the answer to everything. Get if you're lucky, you'll get somebody who will be polite and have a back and forth and teach you and help you and be patient with you.
Yeah. So all very good points. We need to hop into our Q&A though. We got 14 minutes left. So Q&A today is brought to you by Nate Thompson. So Nate, we like you. Thank you so much. We have tons of questions, and a lot of them are from Nate. Everybody else, sorry, you lost your chance. No, I'm just kidding. We'll be here in 2 weeks. You got your chance. So, all right. So we're going to start off. So the first question is going to be for you, Amy, and that's going to be, I was optimizing a Google business profile the other day and noticed for the description there was an AI feature. Is that new? Would you recommend it? Good
question. I think this is a really good question. Yes, it is. It has been a few months old. I think it's slowly rolled out over the summer. I would say it's worth using, and I cannot remember, and Ben, maybe if you use it, does it wipe out what you had originally? I can't remember. I think it does. Yeah.
Oh, wait,
well, here's the thing. In either case,
I believe so.
Copy what you already have so that you keep that separately. If you use the AI, if it wipes it out, but you like the new one, okay. If not, but read it, go through it, and make sure that it's factually correct. Because as has been pointed out many times, AI is not perfect, and sometimes it does make silly mistakes. So if you do feel that the newly generated version reflects your business, and I always say to make sure that your location and your primary service is in the first sentence, because sometimes they get cut off. But yeah, I would definitely give it a shot.
Yeah, it is still in a test mode though. I mean, some people started seeing it, then it went away, and then they had it, and then it went away. I had it, it went away. I wrote an article about it, didn't publish it though. But it's still a test, is what it is. I when I used it, I liked it actually. And I personally thought that the biggest application for me is going to be for any client that was suspended. I was going to say, you know what? Because description can actually be a suspension criteria, I'll just have AI write it for me. And you know what? Maybe I'll get unsuspended.
There you go. And Google's AI, no less.
Exactly. So, but it pulls information from the profile. And from what I saw, it pulls information in from the website too. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Nice.
But again, who knows? All right. So why not, Amy? Get another one here for you. Along the lines of AI is a thing, what are your thoughts on using AI to help along in the process, such as using AI for GPP posts, metadata, etc.? Along the lines of AI metadata, do you have an amazing prompt for I could write you a prompt really quickly if you'd like. So anyway, so what do you think about the AI as a thing?
I agree with you. It's still experimental because sometimes it does pump out things that are not what you ask for. But then again, it's garbage in, garbage out, that's been around for, 30 years of the internet. But I will say I use it I do a lot of Google Business Profile posts, and I've been doing them for a few years now. So when you get back to a page that you did 3 years ago, you don't want to have the same content. So in that case, what I will do is I will use it. I will use ChatGPT or some variant of it, and I will put that all in. And it usually, I would say 8 out of 10 times I use what's created. I obviously look through it. I have a long prompt. I mean, it's like 10 or 12 sentences. And so and just in terms of, do we have an amazing prompt for chat? Ben would probably know because he's been working with it longer or more intensely. But I would also be very specific about any prompts that you do have to be specific to your individual situation and what you expect to get out of it. So
kind of. So the basics of a prompt really quickly here, because we don't have enough time to do this really. But the basics of a prompt is going to be, you're going to tell it to act as something, then you're going to go ahead and you're going to give it its guardrails, and you're going to tell it what you want, and you're going to tell it what you don't want with the guardrails, and then you're going to ask for the result. So that's a prompt, basically, right? Or long or short or whatever it is. Like me, I like to make my prompts heavy on the guardrails, really heavy on the guardrails, because it gets me exactly what I want. So as an example for this, for a GBP post, here's how you would write a post with AI. Your prompt would basically go something like this. It would be, I want you to act as a editorial writer. I want you to create a post which is 80 words long, no longer than 600 characters, whatever many characters you want, right? Basically, right? The topic is going to be about heating and air conditioning for a business which is in San Diego. This is their website, because if you're using the proper systems, you can actually have it crawl the website. And I'm going to talk about that in 2 seconds. So you could say, here's the website. And again, you just want to put in the guardrails, whatever guardrail you want, how many characters, what kind of language, what kind of tone, all of these things, right? And then you say, at the end, you do not need to ask me any questions about this. I want you to just go ahead and present it to me. If I want to make changes, I will say edit. Okay. And so, again, you can be as long or short as you want to on this. But if you do that, it's going to go ahead and it's going to make exactly what you just asked for, basically. So you can do the same thing with metadata, except you could take it you can do that too as well. 3 options, that's correct. But basically, yeah. So anyway, that's really how I would recommend going about doing something like that. I am going to push a tool, by the way, to everybody. Not many people know about this. A good friend of mine developed it. And what it allows you to do is have all of your AI tools in one location, meaning that it's got ChatGPT, including ChatGPT 4.0 and 3.5 and 3.5 advanced. It has Anthropic Claude, which allows you to do over 100,000 words. Yes, it's amazing. I actually did use it to write a book.
Oof.
Seriously.
Wow.
It's ChatGPT on steroids, and it can also browse websites for free. And but it also includes all sorts of other stuff, social posts and image creation with AI. And he's just about to include Midjourney in there. So for $40 that you would spend on Midjourney and ChatGPT, you can get the same thing for 20.
Nice.
So anywho, hopefully that helps everybody. Okay, cool. Well, all right. We have 12 on AI for a while here. I'm sorry, I'm giving you all Nate's questions. All right. So
I'm looking at the next one about service area. If a client offers local services, I'd like to hear your response to this, but wants to focus on the entire U.S. virtually, would you want to set up GPT as a service area for GPT
No.
in the service area?
Absolutely not. So you got to remember, Nate, what GBP is meant for. It is meant for a business that makes in-person contact. Period. Stop. That doesn't mean storefront. That doesn't mean service area-based business. That means in-person contact. I'm sorry, which it does mean, I should say. because a service area based business does business locally in context. They go to a customer, a storefront, a customer comes to you. So therefore, I would say your psychologist, they would probably get a service area based business for the area that they serve, not the online area, by the way. Okay.
I was just going to point out there, regardless of the service area, remember, regardless of the service area that you say that they service, that only serves to create the map in the listing. Google is just still, as Ben said, they're just going to stick to the 2 mile, the 5 mile, whatever around it. So you can do whatever you want, but that's all that Google's going to do. And P.S., I have found that having a service area extend beyond what Google's guidelines say will not get you suspended. But if you have it like that and you're suspended, they won't get reinstated. It won't get reinstated. So just keep that in the back of your mind.
It's really funny, actually. I had 2 clients that did this to me this morning. They always do this when they get reinstated. They're like, "Can I go in and add photos? Can I add posts? By the way, can I add all these service areas?" And I should have a template by now for this. And that is I should just, and I just say, do you really want to get suspended again? Why do you want to add these service areas? If you think they're going to help with ranking, they won't. Do you want to risk a suspension? ? I send that off. 9 times out of 10, the answer is like, "Oh, didn't know that." No, leave it alone. Or they just get suspended. They just do it to get suspended. That happens too. All right. Okay, Jordan has a question. Tips on how to resolve a suspension due to suspicious activity from another account with access. That basically is, you have only one choice. If they say there is an issue with the manager, then you have to find out which one is the one causing the issue and then remove it. Unfortunately, sometimes you're never going to know. You might have 3 or 4 people in there and be suspect on every single one of them. The owner has a Gmail. They have an agency in there. They've got this review company in there. I had somebody who just the other day had literally Verizon in their listing. And I asked him, I said, "Why the hell is Verizon in your listing? What does Verizon need with your Google business profile?" He's like, "I don't know." I don't know is not the right answer there, by the way. You should always know everybody who is on your profile and what they do. If they don't need it, boot them. Otherwise, welcome to hijack world. You can have that happen too.
P.S. Don't ever let somebody else be the primary owner of your listing.
No.
It's other, you can give them, if they say that they need ownership to be able to manage the listing, that's one thing. But honestly, you don't want anyone to go. You should retain primary ownership and then, keep other people as much as a manager as much as possible, because letting somebody have that primary ownership is you're just kind of on borrowed time until something happens.
Exactly. All right. We're going to go into lightning round now. Okay. So I'll get this one, then over to you, Amy. Mark. Hey, Mark has a question. Hey, Amy and Ben, I have a client that has a permanent second location that's been added to their website. The landlord won't allow signage. Okay, no, that's expected. Does she qualify for a GPP? She's in the health and wellness vertical. Yes, more than likely. So if she has a landlord, either it's a home or an apartment, it really doesn't matter. The same rules kind of apply here. And that is that since it's a home, you have to respect privacy information, and that means it has to be a service area based business, especially because you have no signage, by the way. It also has to be a service area based business. But yes, health and wellness, sure, no problem. Absolutely. Question for you from Nate. Okay. Just saying, you're getting all Nate's questions today. That's all there is to it. You're welcome, Mark. Along the lines of verifications, is there strictly a service area? If you are strictly a service area, can you verify residential addresses and have it work?
Yes, you can. And a lot of people do. A lot of people who either work from home or they have a workshop in the back definitely can. You just need to make sure that you have supporting documentation to prove that the business is based at that location. You don't need signage because you're not a bricks and mortar. You're not going to show your address. But the biggest thing is having the documentation. As long as you have the documentation and you're able to do that video verification, you should be fine.
Exactly. And we're at 10:59. One question left for today. One from Jackson. Hey, Jackson. Amy, how do you unverify a GBP? An example. Hold on.
I want to hear your answer. I want to hear your answer.
Okay. All right. Okay. Example, a duplicate listing that a client mistakenly claimed, and verified, but now needs to be removed. Shiznizzle. Okay. No, I know what this one is. So if they had a profile and then they claimed a secondary profile that was out there, that usually would end up flagging one of them as the duplicate. Okay. In this case, there's nothing that you can do except follow the instructions. The instructions is click here to request access to the actual profile. Gets confusing though when you have them both in the same account. So it will usually work. Or sometimes, and this is most of the times, if you've claimed it, one has been flagged as a duplicate, just remove the duplicate from your dashboard. Just delete it, get rid of it, kill it, because it's actually a duplicate of the one you have. And if you go to the one you have and look at it, you'll notice it's got all the photos, the reviews, and everything. Whether it's brand new profile or not, that's a whole nother different story and situation that has to be dealt with. But in this case, that's how you do it. You just go ahead, you claim it, verify it, boom, now it's yours.
And then the question sometimes becomes, with the new one versus the old one, I have one where a new one, a duplicate, I don't know, this woman may have created it mistakenly. Mm-hmm. The original then became suspended.
Yeah,
probably because of the dupe. Then the question became, should you even bother working with it? Only had very few reviews. So basically, she's just going to use the new one. She's going to optimize the new one and run with that. Why bother? Because the other one didn't have a lot of assets.
Exactly. And even if they do have reviews, Michael asks really quickly, and that is what about you trying to save the reviews that were on the duplicate? It doesn't matter. They're already existing on the new duplicate. Any better words for that? But yeah, it's everything basically gets mirrored in a sense onto the new place ID. That's the only way I can explain it.
Can you ask support if they're not? If the dupe shows up and you decide to just optimize the dupe, can you, if the other listing is marked as permanently, it's suspended? You
can't do nothing to a duplicate. Duplicate's the only thing you can do is try and regain access. Jackson followed it up with saying we used the route of removing the duplicate from the dashboard /account, but weren't sure if that automatically unverified it and made it easier for Google to remove. When it's in a duplicate state, it's not verified. Okay. So it's a duplicate, literally is a duplicate, but it's not a live duplicate. In this case, there can only be one. So being that there can only be one, it's either going to be published, suspended, unverified, duplicate, disabled. But yeah, duplicate's already dead. So you just don't need to worry about it. What you do need to worry about is the one that you have. And then if there's any problems or discrepancies, you might want to reach out to Google support and be like, hey, I've got this duplicate, but my reviews are missing. What's up, Google? And then they'll be able to find them and move them over for you, basically. Okay. And with that, we have another episode of the Local Marketing Institute Live Q&A on the books. Thank you, everybody, for coming and joining us today. We've had a really wonderful time, and I want to really give a huge thank you to Amy Toman for coming on. She is my permanent co-host when Greg is no longer available. So she's a fantastic person. She's great. And where can people find you, Amy?
You can find me at local@amytheseo.com. I'm also on Twitter at Bubbles Up. And I would like to point out, apparently coming in November, I have a theme song. I did not, I was shocked at this. I don't know how I found this out, but Jimmy Buffett has one more album that's coming out. It's coming
Oh,
out in
really?
November,
Uh-huh.
and he has a song called Bubbles Up. And I've used Bubbles Up for
Aw.
like 15 years, maybe even longer, in different places. And so now my at Bubbles Up on Twitter, I now have a theme song.
Oh, awesome.
I feel so honored.
Hey, with that in your knowledge panel entry, you should.
I am just so over the moon. I mean, there's so many,
Yeah.
I was just absolutely over the moon by that. So now I have to, it's like a PhD, right? Now you have to keep publishing to keep it so it doesn't go away.
Well, yeah, it's like you and Claire Carlisle got one too, but it's good for you. It's so much easier to get one when you have a name that a lot of people don't have. Like, for instance,
Yes.
Ben Fisher.
Yes.
Ben Fisher is a writer,
Sorry.
a skater, a journalist. He is a songwriter. Like all these famous people have the name Ben Fisher. I'll never get a knowledge panel entry. It's not going to ever happen.
I'm just, you know what? I always thought that either my husband or my son would get them based on what they, what they work as. And I was shocked when I saw it because I was like, wait, no. And I
It's
literally
awesome.
asked
It's
like three
awesome.
different people to go in and say, do you see what I'm seeing? And it was just like, wait, what? Yeah. So anyway, yes, it was quite
Congratulations,
an
though.
honor. I'm very excited about
Congratulations.
that.
I'm jelly. Okay. With that, we're out of here, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for coming. We will see you in 2 weeks when Greg returns.
Yes.
And so, yeah, bye bye. Have a great one.
Take care.